Okay, you're going to get him here. He's going to talk to you right here. This is good.
I'm sorry. I was trying to hide.
Yeah, this is it. This is gonna be big.
These are students
Nice
from
to see you
Rockland
guys.
Undergraduate School.
Wonderful. Well, this is great. You get to learn all about Justice Jackson.
Yes, and they were very excited to get a chance to see you today.
Wonderful.
Thank
Well,
you.
welcome. Good to see you guys. We are announcing in our report, State and Home, that we're about to hit our 50,000 family, all across the state, 50,000 families served by the HOP network. And we have out in Western New York and the Southern Tier, a significant number of those families. There were a lot of communities here that were hit very, very hard by the crash. There's a lot of communities with a significant number of abandoned properties, and we're very, very pleased that we've been able to work with this great coalition of officials and advocates to really get this rolling. But again, this is a new program. This program just got started 3 years ago. It took a while to ramp up, and as we've done it, as I'll explain, we've learned and we've added new programs and developed new ideas in cooperation with the colleagues who are working with them. So the context of this is sort of unusual. When I was first elected Attorney General, we were in the midst of the worst housing crisis in the history of the United States. American families lost $7.4 trillion of home equity in the crash of 2008. The wealth of the American middle class was essentially wiped out because most of them had their wealth in the equity in their homes. 2 years later, in 2010, 12,000 homes here in Chautauqua County were vacant, almost a fifth of the community's total housing stock. Simply put, the housing market in New York collapsed, and there was no relief for the people and the communities that needed it the most. So I made it a priority to try and address this issue, and as some of you know, there was a deal on the table for all of the 50 attorneys general plus the federal government to settle a deal with the major banks. And I was the first, and for a long time, the only state attorney general to refuse to sign on to a deal unless there was a full investigation of the banks in an effort to really get some more relief to the communities that suffered as a result of their reckless misconduct. And as a result of those efforts, in the President's State of the Union address in January 2012, he announced the creation of an unprecedented federal-state working group to examine the conduct that had caused the crash of the housing market, and he appointed me as co-chair of that working group, which I think is the first time a state AG has chaired a group that included supervision of federal agencies. So we got to work and started the investigations, and then the investigations led to negotiations, and our working group so far has recovered well over $60 billion nationally, and over $4 billion of that has come to New York. And I assure you that I am very committed to making sure that New York gets everything it can out of these deals. And there are negotiations underway right now with bank number 4, and I look forward to providing more relief going forward. But the important thing about this really is how well we've worked, and how well we've worked with people like the folks who are standing with me today to ensure that the relief does get to the communities and the families that were hurt.